Pierre.
Welcome back to another early edition of the Hockey Nation Live Show with your co-host, Coach Frenchy, directly from the Sunshine State, Florida. And we have to go all the way inside of the USA country to find on the West Coast the co-host, Michael Devellano.
The most cheering I've ever heard from you. All right.
Something you need to change. It cannot be the same thing. Last day in August, Michael, first day in September, I'm fired up because I don't like August, to be honest with you. Too many bad memories, first of all. Secondly, I feel like here, at least in Florida, it's a really humid, bad month. It's the worst month of the year, to be honest with you. We hit the 3-digit every day.
Wow.
And it's humid. Like you get out of the gym myself in the morning, you feel like it's 95 in the morning right away. So it's August. And then secondly, I believe like September is like I said, for many years I don't coach this year, but usually it's the beginning of the new year for the coaching and hockey sport, and the kids go back to school, and the football, high school, and you know what I mean. Like you have a lot of things going on around around the USA. And also in Canada, the QM start, the CHL start, and they have a lot of football and college start this weekend. Then the NFL. I don't know. I feel like it's the second part of the second year of each year. I feel like September is really what start everything, and I just fired up for the September where we're going to start tomorrow, and then after the Labor Day, let's move on to the year of the hockey for sure. So, but again, a lot of things going on. Everywhere social media is about Kotkaniemi, Bergevin, Hurricane, everything like that. It's a bit calm down, but still a lot of discussion. Now it's about solution. Now we got the shocker surprise news this weekend. The Sunday, everybody would put the 2 cents. Now it's the solution. Now the people reflect more about what they should do, what they can do.
Yeah.
On that, and really interesting perspective on different ways, and in French Canadian side, and then and around the league and whatever you are. So really fun to watching everything. I can't wait what Mike Bergevin is going to surprise. He can go to one direction to another direction, I believe, Michael, and he surprised everybody when he trade Max Pacioretty, right? So can he plug another good mega trade like that? Or I'm going to give you, I'll go talk a little bit more, but I have another perspective of what the Montreal should do.
Well, we have a lot of people joined us this morning. Enertab says it's day 4 of the Kotkaniemi saga. Yarmo's joined us from Finland, and then we have Chainsaw Man is here.
We have a lot of people all around the world, Michael.
Monahan to Boston for Jake Debris.
This, Michael, is the best sound effect for someone.
Chainsaw Man?
You cannot beat that one. I think that one is the best, like, you know what I mean? Like the name stuck with the sound effect, to be honest with you. And we have Yamo. Hopefully Yamo, Michael, he struggled this summer, Yamo. Not a bad way, but the health, if you do that, hopefully he's feel better. He's doing well in the speed recovery for Yamo. And he's not the only one. A lot of people get sick, Michael, the last couple of weeks. And, we talk about Joseph. You talk about Johnny. So everybody struggled at some point. But, that's what we are at that moment. And then we welcome everybody again. Brad Marchand skipped last night. But we have a great news, Michael. Yesterday, Sly stepped up. And he won again for the second time in the last couple of days with In Our Tap, the Mr. Quiz or the Frenchy Quiz. In Our Tap win all the time. Nice. But Sly, at the last question, he was dominate the contest, but unfortunately, he missed the last question. But overall, he stepped up a little bit. Everybody, great performance last night, Michael. We have about 14 people participate last night. It's getting harder to get all the answers.
Yeah, it's a tough quiz.
I'm right here, and then I'm watching all the answers, and the people take it not seriously, but they participate, and it's fun to see this. Good, a lot of people last night. So I think the people starting, Michael, to come back. Like you can see new face, and so it's fun to see this, and we'll get a little bit more viewers around, and then we have about like 10 people to get to 1,600. And then that's what we do. Every single day we grow and we get better. And of course, everybody look, Yamo is doing well, so everything like that. But we missed Brett Marchand last night, honestly. Brett Marchand skipped us last night, and I was doing something good for him. I put the locker room, the Boston Bruins behind me, so I thought I would go to shocking surprise him. As a Montreal Canadian, it's not happening a lot, but he missed this one over there.
Oh, interesting. So they're saying they signed Connor Murphy to a 4-year contract extension for 17.6. So it puts him around what he was making before, I think, which is like 4 million and change. That's interesting. I don't know. Have you watched Connor Murphy much? I know he was in Florida, right?
I'm sorry again?
Yarmo is reporting that the Blackhawks have signed Connor Murphy.
Yeah, it just happened 10 minutes ago before we jump on the show, honestly.
So he's a big guy. I think he's a useful kind of number 4, number 5 defenseman. Puts him around what he was making before, like 4 million or so, right?
Well, he played number 2 for the Chicago Blackhawks for the last couple of years, to be honest with you. So I think for me, he's doing well overall, but I don't think so is on the right chair now to bring back Zed Jones, everything like that. I will see interesting is going to be against still, top 3. He played 22 minutes per game last season, Michael. 3 goals, 12 assists. So it'll be interesting what he's going to do.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I always kind of think of him as number 4, but if you played 22 minutes a game, that's a lot of ice.
No. He honestly was the backup of not the backup, but played with Duncan Keith a lot on that one over there. For the last 2-3 years, he was really the Hawks put a lot of minutes on him. Honestly, it's a mix for me, a little bit, and I don't want to compare, but if I feel like it's a little bit what David Savard is, honestly. Like,
I
good
think
on
so.
defensive side, not enough,
not much offense, like.
Yeah. So for me, I think that's the kind of player he is, honestly.
I think him being on the 4th chair is the way to go. Like, if you could
put him on the second pair of defense, I think that's where he should be.
I think that's the right spot for him. He's a big guy. He's like 6'4". He's a decent skater, but there's not much offense there. But yeah, they got a lot of work to do in Chicago on the D. I mean, Calvin DeHaan never plays a full season. Seth Jones will pick up big minutes. Jake McCabe missed a lot last year. It's gonna be interesting.
It's like they need a little bit better on the defensive side. I think they need a defense number 4 for sure. He can compete number 2, I believe. That's what he should get. Because Calvin DeHaan is completely not there. Should be 5 or 6 at the end of the day.
Yeah, he's not reliable enough.
I don't know what they have in the prospect, but that's something they have to go.
So apparently Jack Eichel is to get surgery and is out until December. That must mean some deal is in place, or he's just like, this is holding up the deal. So it'll be interesting to see what that means. That surgery is scary, man.
But I think that's what you need at that moment over there. And it would be interesting about that. So that push him out for any trade, I believe.
Yeah. Right. Buffalo's going to be young. Joseph has joined us. So we've got Joseph, Tap, Yarmo, Chainsaw Man. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. Yeah, so I think this is a good signing for Chicago. To your point, I don't like Calvin DeHaan. Game in, game out, he's a good player, but he's just never in enough. He's so injury prone. Jake McCabe, I like him, but again, he missed a lot of time last year, so it's going to be interesting. I know Kaliniak had a good offensive breakthrough, it seemed like, so that'll be interesting to see. Can he do it over 80 games? I don't know. There's a lot of questions on that D to me.
Yeah, that's what they have to improve. They want to get a good step over there. That's what they have to do. Now, the flip side, Michael, they have a couple of material inside them. The fact they lost, they have a couple of players they could trade if they need to, if they have to get another good Honestly, what you need is a guy like maybe like McKenzie with guard, a kind of player like this. They will helping them to go that direction. I think that we're helping them if they can get someone like that. I don't said him, but a player
Yeah,
like him,
someone like that.
I
It'll be
think that would
interesting
be good.
because I think that's the difference between them being in the playoffs or not.
Well, they need another bit more offensive player, puck mover. That's what they really need to helping that team to reach the full potential they have. That's what I said. I don't know what they have in the prospect area. I did not look yet, but that's something you have to look.
I mean, Kalinick is a good offensive defenseman. McCabe and DeHaan both have that capability, but I just don't know if they're going to be in enough to be effective. I don't know. What do they have? Like, they traded away their draft pick, right? So,
A kind of a question. It's just KK does not like Andre Kostitin. Um, I'll be honest with you, is like some people compare him, Michael, to Kalchinak and Kostitin, like you mentioned. It's two things. Kokenimi, Michael, is a great young kid.
yeah, I don't.
He's really grow, and I think Yamu can support my statement here. His behavior with as a hockey person, as a human being, and a hockey player, and the dad, the family, grow him very properly to have a great manners. Return that you never have anything, and I've been honest with you, any words to him to be outside or go out and everything like that is really well being as a person. So I don't see to compare that. Now, if you talk about only on the off on ice, it could happen about he can be another where he struggled at some point for sure about him. Um, about inner tap now, he said if a team trade for Hickle, it then supposed to operation goes bad, he does not play. Is the team accusing him responsible to pay him? Was there an out? Not allowed. What you have to do, they have an insurance, and the insurance pay the whatever they have the money about that one over there, and they cannot do anything. It's going to be a long term reserve. So the only thing that is bad for the team, Michael, they trade a couple of players for the player
Right.
is never be going to play. So what happening at that moment? If he does that direction, like you said in OTAP, everything will be on the old Michael until this is fixed and be ready. Because I don't know how a
I,
team can take a chance to trade for
I think
him and they don't know the rest after the next thing over there.
yeah, I think they're. I think it's so risky. I think it's like everyone's probably telling them go get surgery and then come back to us.
Yeah, I still believe he will never play again for the Buffalo Sabres, right?
Probably.
And I think the good news about this guy is this part. Why you get a surgery now? Because you have a great conversation with Bat Brisson, and Brisson told him after the
Okay.
reevaluate his case, look, go get this, go get what you need, be helped, and then before the trade deadline, just before the Olympics, Michael, they will find a way to find a new team, and that's what I believe will happen
Probably.
about that. So I think about now that push Montreal to get another direction for what they need. But in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to tell you what I think the Montreal should do. And yes, I'm like a yo-yo, but at the end of the day, I think they have something like that. Has any player have a similar injury? It could been the same after surgery? No, not at all. They'll be the first time applied by a doctor from Birmingham in Alabama.
Yeah.
Never applied for any hockey players. And the success of this, Michael, is 99.9999. But again, it could have something wrong. It's the same surgery, guys, like 30 years ago, 35 years ago, when Tommy John got a surgery for the cuff of the
Yeah.
shoulder.
Yeah.
Nobody applied that one, and
Yeah.
the pitcher come back, Michael, 1 year after that. It take about 12 to 18 months for the pitcher to come back after that gets the surgery. That's something happening right now to Jack Hickle about that neck area surgery where he will be the first player to get this. So I'm not worried about him to come back helped at all, to be honest with you. Um, I just like it's time for him to move on somewhere else to play hockey.
Well,
And, you know,
there's so many reasons. I think the Pat Brisson's a great guy. I think he's a top agent for a reason. He's a real gentleman. Um, you're probably right. Like he probably got finally good advice. I think he just
yeah, definitely. He's on the right with the right.
right.
We always said sometime all the time. Surround yourself with the right people.
That's the
I think
best
for
agent.
him right now, it was a time to set up someone can have that confidence and tell him what the right things to do. And I think right now, I believe me, his best decision of Jack this year is to hire right now Pat Brisson and to set
I
up.
agree totally.
And that open up other opportunity, Michael, about trade, everything like that. Like it open open door to have a better way to get trade and not to be on the old. Because I think Brisson, with his reputation, like you mentioned, have the time to talk also with Kevin Adams.
Yeah,
Talking with Buffalo, sit with
right.
him, explain, look, what do you want? What are you looking for? And what you and then after that, it will go with what you need, and he would chase the price for the Buffalo Sabres at the same time.
Yeah, it's probably a win-win.
Yeah.
I don't think they're in any hurry to win after the last year. They thought that they were going to be much better than they were. They made some mistakes in goal and in the coaching scenario, and it cost them. I mean, they're a do-over, right? So now their best chance is to try to go into the Shane Wright lottery and the Connor Bedard lottery and start again. I don't know. The only guy that might be not happy about it is Rasmus Dahlin, but he's still young enough, so I think it'll be all right. Good morning, Frank Zalazar has joined us.
Frank Salazar, Mr. Cuban, directly from. Yeah, last time Michael, he didn't smoke a cigar. He was on
Okay.
the whiskey side. So he
Oh,
get out the bottle of the fridge. By the way, you want to have a story, Michael?
yeah. What is
All
it?
right. So I was coaching in Roanoke, and then I went to the Mississippi Seawolf with Bruce Boudreau, and the team gave me a free apartment, and that's what that's the deal we have, everything like that. So I'm a free apartment, everything like that. I live about 1.2 miles from the beach, and they said sometimes you go to get a place for 12 days, 10 days, and then they will find another place to be with another players after that. So one day he bring a players from Russia. He showed up like October 26th. We have about 10 days inside the season. He's a big forward, 6'3", about 190. He play he never played in a QM or he played in an overseas over there. He came back. Anyway, the SeaWorld got him the rights return. He show up and barely cannot speak English. Myself, I was not very good that time. Also, never been good anyway. But we speak a little bit. We talk that, and they said, "Look, what do you need? I can bring to the grocery store." He thought that. Oh yeah, let's go to the grocery store. So he go to the grocery store. He came back with 5 bottles of whiskey, the vodka, Michael, with
Vodka.
all the lemon, everything like that, and nothing else. So all day long, he drink, he drink
Oh my
vodka
God.
all day long. It was unbelievable, this guy. It was so funny
That's
to get that
crazy.
guy over there. He was like, and he was not drunk. I'm telling you now, he was not drunk. It was all straight. It was just funny. The Russian kid like come to the grocery store with 5 bottles of vodka, lemon, and let's
That's
go, buddy. Let's do
crazy.
it. So yeah, it was a
Jeez.
lot of fun. When you are around those team and the lower level, and it's funny to those kind of story, everything like that, left and right. And, was a great time. East Coast Hockey a couple of years, Michael. Was funny to go around that. But no, back to Kotkaniemi, Michael. I have the answer for everything. So back Bergeron is going to let him go. He's going to get a pick number 1, number 3,
Yeah.
and he's not to make any trade.
You think he'll just sit on it and
He
then?
will sit on it. He would take Jonathan Drouin. He will put him in the center right there. He will try to see what he can do, everything like that. A little bit later, he will holding everything like that. That will see a little bit more what they start the season that way. And then after that, the Jack Eichel could be a race to get him in December. And also to do that, Michael, that would not give him the full amount of money to pay him the $10 million for the rest of the year. All right.
Yeah.
So, and if he does this right now, Michael, now he's going to lose prospect, player, draft, whatever it is at the beginning of the year, and that fixes problem. So I think that's what would be another option. What Montreal can do is holding hope Jonathan Drouin can be a second center for a couple of weeks, month, everything like that, and go from there after that. I believe that's another direction he can get. Of course, you talk about Divorak and other center. I think that's an option. People don't talk too much about this. and I think that would be really where I feel like Marc Bergevin can do for the Montreal Canadiens. You can tell me, at the end of the day, Michael, I understand what Jonathan Drouin is, right? But I really feel he's able to do the same kind of point like Kokanemi at the end of the year.
Yeah, he should be a 55-point player. I mean, he's
Yeah.
got the talent to be a point a game player, just
Yeah.
not the.
So it will be interesting. Again, I'm not saying that will
overhand.
happen. I just
I
give
don't
you.
know, man. He sounded like he's packed on the weight, and I don't think he's ready for anything. I mean, I suspect this guy washes out of the NHL. If you're doing that, I think you're like.
The only thing, Michael, I would say to
I
you,
may not care,
the
but
only thing I said to you where I feel like is a good place right now because he's been with Dominic Trump for years after years. So they have a good relationship. This helps usually. When you have a coach believe he trusts you, talk a lot, and his buddies, return that. That's the only way I believe it's good for him to be surrounded with the coach, return that. It will protect him. It will do all kind of stuff like that. We don't know all the story, but you put him with like a Totorella or another coach, I think that could be a problem. But the fact is with Dominic Charm that we're helping him to recovery and to be have a better, not maybe a better year, but to have a better ready to play for the next for the upcoming season. So it'll be interesting to see that.
it's going to be interesting. I don't know. I just think when a player gets to that point, it's such a competitive game, and he's very focused on himself. And I think that's the problem with his game already. Like the guy's very focused on himself when he's on the ice. He's overhandling the puck, and he's got all the talent to be super. So it's not a talent issue. It's just the mindset and the commitment. And I just think this gets worse for them. I really think that the gap between Kotkaniemi and Ryan Poehling is very small. I haven't seen from Kotkaniemi to me anything offensively that makes me excited. He's just a weird skater, and he's hard to read, for his line mates. He's better when he's forechecking and going to the net, but that doesn't sound that to me is like, if that's what you're looking, you're successful at, then lots of guys can do that. I can't see paying this guy $6 million.
But again, I think the money is not the purpose of this equation because the money at the end of the day do not represent exactly what he is. The problem with that part of them, Michael, is after that. So they have other thing for Montreal Canadiens pay 6.1, complicate the things. And that said, they cannot survive with this. They can survive.
No,
but
why
that's
bother?
complicate other things. So the drop at 5.1 million for year number 2 and all the way like that is not good. Thirdly, you have to pay other players coming very soon, whereas Zuski have to get more money every time. That's show a little bit more different things. So for me, it's all about if he can get 50 points, if he can do that, if he can do this, right? And the time will tell us exactly. I think for me, it's not that they should do this. It's just like I can try to see all the options Mike Bergeron could get right now. And I think, who knows, he could have a better way to set up this. And I think the Jack Eichel to push in December, Michael, to use Jonathan Drouin in the middle and to hanging there for 2 months and a half, and then to get Eichel for the rest of the year about what, $6 million. I think that's a great opportunity for Montreal to do it if they can do this. So that's something they can do at some point, or they can trade for him at that moment. Right now, they put him on the long-term injury list. The $10 million is not going to, the salary cap will be fine with this.
Yeah.
And then after that, depend what they request to get him the Buffalo. Now, the other thing they can do also, surprisingly, Michael, is to keep Kokanemi, but he cannot trade him. That's the problem you can get. Yeah. So you cannot trade him against Jackie Cole. You'll be stuck with him. Right? So you have to wait 1 more year. So that's not going to work. I would say they will maybe trade after that, but he cannot do anything about this. So it will be interesting to see what Mike Bergeron is going to do for the next. He's the only thing we know is on the phone. He can see all the options he can get, everything like that. And it'll be interesting what is next for him about that one.
So to switch gears a little bit, we saw this contract, which I think is the opposite. Tolvanen got 11 goals last year, Pierre, in 40 games. We've been waiting for this guy to arrive, and he gets a 3-year, $1.4 million average annual value on his contract.
It's cheap. It is a really a steal for Nashville Predator. I think it's another player, Michael, exactly what happened with Kokanemi, where he got an opportunity right now, he stepped up and he
Yeah.
got that one over there. It was really his first full year in NHL, and I think that's what he become, right? So at 1.45, that show again for 3 years. You
That's
know
a
what I mean? Like he
steal.
should be about 1.5 for this year, one year. And then
2
because
and
he have
3
a potential, Michael, to get 35 points and
or more. Like
to get, oh yeah, but I'm talking about potentially. So listen, this is a great. I believe that he become a UFA. I could be wrong, but I think he's become a UFA. But that's a still about that one over there. And just to insert to Chase Saman, yes, he's a 6.1 for 1 year, and then Johnny equal to be ready in December. Look like.
man,
And Yamo absolutely right about Tolvanen about that one. Is great hockey player, great young man.
there's
You
no
know
risk
that,
in this contract.
and that's compare right. He did not jump right away in NHL, Michael. He grow his game, the potential. They develop him, and now he joined the NHL at 21, and
Yeah.
now he show up. And that's maybe the trend between him and Kokanemi, where he was at 18 years old, and
He's making less than Nick Cousins. He's making less than Rocco Grimaldi, and he's definitely better than those two guys. Luke Kunin's pretty reasonable at 2.3 because I think Kunin's able to get 20 goals, but he's as good as Kunin, maybe better.
You know, Todd mentioned about this. You know, we started to talk about Nashville trade. Yes, I don't know if he was with you. We talk about Owenson.
Johansson, yeah.
Yeah, but after that, you know, Thompson to me last night, they should look about Kunin.
You know,
But I don't see that Nashville with trade Kunin. He's 23 years old.
they might. You know, he's not a great skater, Pierre, and I think that's the knock on him because he's
But
off.
look what how many score.
He's able to get put up points, right?
He's a
Like
good. Yes, look.
he can put up points. I think that's the only detraction from him is he's not a great skater, but he can score.
Michael, 31.63, 15 goal. Right?
I
You have
don't know why
19.38.
Minnesota traded this guy.
So is a guy able to score 20 goals and
Yeah.
40 points?
Yeah, I was really, I think I said before, I was surprised when they traded him because they got a veteran.
Yeah, it was for Nick Bonino, right?
Who's a good player, but I mean they have pretty much the same offensive
But the
production.
problem for me, I did not get it, Michael. They get Nick Bonino at $4 million.
I know, and he's like,
and now he let him go San Jose now, right?
right, and then he goes to friggin' San Jose.
So
Bonino, you know, very
no,
similar.
he's still there, right?
No, I think they let him go. San Jose signed him. So they lose him for nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't get this move by Minnesota. They've made some odd players. I think.
Wait a minute. Check this. The Nashville Predator with round number 2 and 2028 draft Thomas Pardolo, and round 3 they draft. Hold on, no, I'm reading the trade.
Oh, the trade. Sorry.
Check that trade.
It's crazy. So they trade Bonino and Bordelot and Vero, who ends up being that pick goes to Detroit, right? Vero is a Detroit pick. They get Luke Kunin in a 4th pick, who's, you know, Adam Wilsby. I have no idea if this guy will ever play. Looks like Vero has a chance. Bordelot's a top player at Michigan, right?
So Kunin got traded for Bordelot and Vero.
Basically. And then this guy gets traded also again, right? So who did they trade him for? Nobody. Like
to Detroit.
This was such a weird move. Like it didn't make. So they moved up to get this guy, but Vero, I don't know. Like such a weird move. This is like an overager that they got.
Yeah, Kunin can be 45 point, 50 point.
Yeah.
But again, right now his TOI is very low, and he plays on the 3rd line. So he's a kid can play 2nd line. The problem over there is you have to play as a winger, Michael, because they have Owenson, Granlund as a center for the Nashville Predators. So you have to play more on the third line or on the winger side. Um,
Yeah, I think on their depth chart, he's probably better as a winger. He's not a it's the skating that kind of throws him off a little bit. Otherwise, his points are really good. I mean, and
don't
they
forget everybody to click on the likes. You have any question you want to mention? It's time. We are really open up today with fun conversation. We don't have anything specific about that.
all right. So the other move we saw was Dylan Guenther. But just closing on this, they've got a big hole on the right side. So I think he can carve out Tolvanen and Kunin on the right side is real good for them. I see Cody Glass. If you give him a chance, he'll produce. If he doesn't, then that's on him. But he's got all the ability to do that. And I think he's better suited to being in Nashville than he was in Vegas. But we saw guys like Duchesne, no pressure in Nashville, didn't work out too well. He just fell asleep. Like he had his worst year maybe ever. And then even Johansson, like he's been up and down like a yo-yo. So it's going to be interesting. I think that might be the only problem with being in Nashville is there's no pressure.
Well, it's another one way now. How can you how Forsberg and Ekholm can accept to be there as what direction the Nashville is going to go? That's my point. My point.
Yep, it's very, very murky. I mean, right now this does not look like a playoff team. You would need a turnaround from Duchesne and Johansson. You'd need a healthy Forsberg, and you'd really need Cody Glass to pop through. And maybe that all happens. Like I think that's all potential, but that's obviously the issue is it's unknown. They got good goaltending. Their D's still pretty decent.
Yeah.
But it's not. They're definitely. They look like they're on the outside looking in right now. The other signing was I mentioned. So Arizona Coyotes. We know they traded their way back into the first round of the NHL draft, and Dylan Guenther, who's probably the top goal scoring talent in the draft. And I think they were very excited, by the way, Pierre, to get him. Like they really feel that they got a top 5 level talent. And I don't disagree with it. Like he's a big guy. He's not an amazing skater. Unlike a lot of the guys that went ahead of him, he's an 03. So this is like a younger player. This is the age he's supposed to be. So you got guys that went ahead of him that are 02s, and I just always am very suspicious of that, including Owen Power and Matt Benner. The better players to me are the 03s. Kent Johnson's an 02, although Kent Johnson's really good, but so I don't know. I think they did pretty well in this, and he signs his entry-level contract. I would expect him to still be back in Edmonton, though, in the WHL. And Edmonton should be a powerhouse. That should be a very strong team. They've got Sebastian Cossa. We know their first-round pick, unfortunately, Caleb Reimer, passed away in that car accident. So that does hurt them a little bit on the ice. But overall, Pierre, this should be a top 5 team in the WHL this year. I don't know if Jake Neighbors can go back. I think he's done, isn't he? Oh, no, he can. Huh. So they might. I wonder if they'll get Jake Neighbors back or if he'll go to the AHL. So that'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah.
They should be a very strong team. We're really excited about Cossa. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I always forget. This should be a pretty strong team. Like Jake Neighbors, if he goes back, I'm not sure what the plan is for him. He's a St. Louis draft pick, but he's still an 02, so he could go back. And then in net, we know Sebastian Cossa was drafted by Detroit. He was 17-1-1 PA.
Yes, please center, but you're right, not a great skater. And a tap. Yamo said, not many are ended offense. Tolvanen left, Kunin left, I think. Everson was right. Yamo.
Yeah.
Johnny Cullen match KK, then put him on the position to success second line minute in line mate.
I don't know. This is such a. I got to give credit to Carolina. They knew exactly how to stick it to Montreal.
But if you turn around, Michael, you know what I mean? Like, I know I'm going to surprise everybody. He said, Coach, what kind of drink did you get last night? Because when you think about this, another team, Michael, is a struggle right now, like Montreal, is Vancouver Canucks. because
I
they
mean,
don't have enough money.
yeah, which is funny because I think Vancouver will be very strong this year, though. They made some aggressive moves.
No. My point to you, Michael, they don't have enough money to pay Pedersen and
Right.
Hughes.
Not the money they want, probably.
So that would be something you have to consider
Someone's gonna shake out of there, right?
to get something like that. But on the flip side, Montreal, they can go with Kokanemi, keep him for sure. The problem with that situation is like, poor guy. I can wait after. You have a story, Michael, about I think it was Camarelli. Is it Mike Camarelli?
Mike Cammarelli, yeah.
Yeah. So he said yesterday, he said, look, when I play Montreal, I did not have I did not score for 10 games. And everybody was over my butt every single game, question after my thing about that, right? So I got traded to New Jersey. I played 10 games with no goal. I don't have any single question about what is my problem.
Yeah,
The next 5 games, Michael, he scored 3 goals. He said,
yeah,
how many questions? 0. Nobody asking me about what I did for the 3 goal for the next 5 games. He said, look, the pressure Montreal for Kokanemi, it's multiplied by 10 times.
yeah,
If he does not perform, he's
yeah,
going to have question. The
yeah.
fans going to boo him, and
It's gonna
he's
be
put him in
terrible.
the bad situation for the rest of his life
It's
because of that
terrible.
situation over there. So um, I think I'm not sure what could happen to him if he does not perform over there. To be honest with you, he's
I
going to
really
be
feel like he should just. I don't know. I mean, it's a gamble, right? If he goes to Carolina and gets 55 points, then Bergevin will be assailed for getting nothing for him.
But
Getting a
again, he got a first round pick, a third
yeah,
round pick.
but
So
late, be
he
late.
can turn around to pick up someone else, everything like
Yeah,
that. So the logic of this, Michael, the really, really logic is Dvorak. Because you get now a younger man with he have only $4.5 million for 4 years. It's a prototype the player can have a same result like Kokanemi at the end of the day.
oh,
And
he's way ahead. When you get Dvorak, you're getting a legit second line
so
center.
you get a second center, and then after that, Michael, at 4.5 for a second center example is cheap, and then that will give the money for Suzuki, and that's what the not the 6.1 million dollars for to Kokanemi, Michael. They can pay him now if he produces 45 points with Montreal, you're happy. But now you have to pay Suzuki a $9 million or $8 million after that. That put Montreal in a bad situation for the aftermath of Kokanemi after 1 year. So that's what happening about that one. That's what is really risky to sign Kokanemi at that
Yeah,
moment.
I think if I'm the GM, I just take the picks and I go make another deal. Flip those picks to Arizona and throw something else in. Like, could you do a first, third, and Paling? I don't know.
Yamo said something very good about that. It's almost like a last for Kokanemi right now
Absolutely.
in Montreal, because if he's going to be stuck with the $6.1 million all year long.
Forever, for the rest of his career, Pierre. This is a guy we talked about saying you need time for him, and he has things in his game that he needs to figure out. And the one thing that's a problem is the skating. The other is the playmaking. Like, I know people say, "Oh, he's a good playmaker." He's not. He's like, this is the point. Johnny Golden said KK was on 18 unique lines last season. There's a reason. Playing with him is like playing with a hand grenade. When you get
But
the puck, you don't know.
the problem with him is because he was in front, he's behind Suzuki and Dano at some point, so he
Well, they're
cannot
both
do
so much
everything
better.
about that one there. I still believe he's a 40 point for the
Yeah,
upcoming season with
yeah,
regular players and a regular time for him. When I'm talking about regular time, Michael, is at 16 to 18 minutes. So for me, I believe he can do 16, 40 point. The problem is $6.1 million is stuck for him. And after
crazy.
that, he get 5.1, and then you can grow that one with that. Now he can sign a contract for 5 years, bridge after that until he reach UFA at $5, $6 million. But we don't know if he can handle those kind of 50 point per year.
I don't see
If he
him
can
getting
handle to
shifts
become
in
a
Carolina.
great regular consistency. Because the key behind this, Michael, is is not consistency.
No, his problem in his game is a little bit of structural. I mean, the other guy that was drafted right around him, Pierre Barrett Hayton, may not ever play in the NHL. So these were two decisions that were made based upon positional need as opposed to the best player. So both Arizona at the time with John Chayka and Montreal with Kotkaniemi, they take Hayton and they take Kotkaniemi ahead of Zadina. Zadina is taking time, right? Like Zadina is way more talented than either of those guys.
Well, I think the key was Kachuk, honestly. If you think to redo the draft, is that Kachuk was the right guy for the Montreal
Oh my
Canadiens to
God,
take,
of course. Like that was
right?
like, I was like shocked when I'm like, in no
So
world do you ever pass on this guy.
it's not also about the number offensive side. It's more about the fact like what he bring
Everything.
on the ice, Kachuk, and also he could play center if really what they
Well,
need
this was
about
my
that one
point.
over
If you
there.
really wanted him, he could play center. He's so talented and he's big and he's mean.
So I think that would be something they have to, they will
Oh,
always compare about that one. Benjamin problem is the other GM knows he's in bad position.
for
He's
sure.
not really in bad position, Johnny. And when I said this guy is because they can handle the $6.1 million. They have not much to do because Biron Michael is on the injury list and they can handle the 6.1. Is the aftermath. So what I'm talking about aftermath is the following year with the money, everything like that. Now, can Weber come back after that? We don't know yet. And how much money he gave to Chariot, we don't know yet. How much money to give to Suzuki, we don't know yet. So at the end of the day, it's not to pay Kotkaniemi is a problem right now. It's aftermath in 1 year because the same conversation we can get in the next 6 months. Kotkaniemi have 23 goals with 35 assists at the end of the year. That's a great year. He deserved that kind of money. But again, it's how much you get Suzuki after that and everything like that. So the money he got right now, Michael, is about 4 years before he should get $6 million if he produces that way.
Ever,
It
yeah.
does change the ladder of the salary cap for the Montreal Canadiens. That's the only problem you get. And the pad position, I don't see this. It just maybe push him to make some other movement or other things what he was not expect to do at that moment. At the end of the day, the live was said or the mindset was, let's go with Kotkaniemi second center, pay him $2.3 million, whatever it was, and we are ready to rock and roll the next season. Now that make him to make some other thing, but I don't qualify him as a bad position. It's just pushing him to make some other decision where maybe you have to go quicker at what he was expect to do for the next 2-3 years.
I think so there's some interesting comments in the chat. One is, I keep hearing this argument that he only had 13 minutes. Normally I would say, yeah, give him a chance, but there's a difference between playing Alexis Lafreniere 13 minutes and Kotkaniemi. Lafreniere, if you pay him 18, 19, is very capable of being your best player. Kotkaniemi's got problems in his game. He was picked too high, and that's the end of it. So you don't worry about that at this point. You don't go say, but he was our third overall pick. Listen, you already missed Tkachuk, you already missed Zadina, and you already missed Quinn Hughes. It's over. Like you already, stop wallowing in it. Someone's dumb enough to pay this guy $6 million. Let him do it. You could probably get a similar talent if it's a top 25 pick, because that's what's going to end up happening, right? Like if you let's look at, the past draft. Let's say it's in here, right? Because that's probably what you're talking about. I don't know where Carolina would have been. If you got Zachary Leroux, why does it do this? I got to stop using HockeyDB. It's annoying. They have the best list on the worst feature of changing. So you go, okay, well, where does Carolina finish? They're probably in here, right? And you go, okay, if I get a Chase Stillman, an Oscar Olison, or a Zachary Leroux, or even a Carson Lambos, Not too worried about it. You're not going to rush him, but you're not going to get an immediate player. But you've got some guys in there that can fulfill that third line role. Because right now they're not counting on him. Maybe. Are they counting on him being the second line center?
Sorry?
Is Montreal counting on Kotkaniemi to be the second line center?
Yeah.
So there you go. He's not going to get it. And the other thing for Kotkaniemi is not only is he getting too much money, he ain't going to get any ice time that I can see in Carolina. I mean, he's gonna be in tough. Like they're so deep, Pierre. Like to me, you're
They are
like,
not deep, Michael.
Carolina. They're deep, man. That's a good team.
They are not, Michael.
You don't
look
think
the third line and look the fourth line.
Well, Jesper Fast is a good player. Like he could play ahead of a Kotkaniemi. He's a much better skater. He's capable of getting offense. Levo's not a great skater, but he's a big guy and he can score a little bit. Martinook's a good player. He just signed a decent contract. The guy that I think Ryan Suzuki's better than Kotkaniemi.
No.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like long term, for sure.
I'm telling you right now, the bottom six is really, really not great. If you want to go to win a Stanley Cup, you have to have a better bottom six.
Well, again, if you're Kotkaniemi, the only guy that you might play ahead of here is Suzuki, because you're not breaking in that top six.
I still believe Kotkaniemi, guys, is a 40 to 50 point.
If he gets ice time that would normally, go to someone else, and I just don't see that here. I mean,
but put Kotkaniemi with Kurchek and Nikas, he's going to get 50 point easy.
I could get 50 points on that line.
But that's why. But that's the reason, Michael. That's what. That's what the reason is for everybody. He did not get 50 points last season because he does not play.
He can't. He never earned it.
I know, but it's different between Kurchek and Nikas and play with Perry, Michael.
There's a reason he's playing on those lines, Pierre. He's very
because Dano is his skis in front of him.
They're better than him.
But but he's 19 years old. I don't know why you don't try to bring him, not realize he's a great hockey player in NHL. He did not reach the full potential. He didn't have an opportunity to expose his potential here now. It's the same thing. Lafreniere is it a boss? Do you think Alexis Lafreniere is a boss or is a great hockey player?
Lafreniere to Kotkaniemi is a massive gap here.
No, I'm not comparing to
Kotkaniemi. Is not even in the same.
Lafreniere's stat last season, Michael.
It doesn't matter. He is so much better than.
No, I'm not turning out. My question to you: Why do you say, Michael? Why do you put Lafreniere as a great hockey player? Look the season he got last season. Look, you see the number, the point he did last season.
That's his stats, Pierre. He is so much better than Kotkaniemi. It's like
I'm not compared to Kotkaniemi, Michael. I'm compared the value of a first overall pick. What New York did to Lafreniere last season. Why did not put him at a second, the first line?
Well, then, first of all, they're much deeper. I never agreed with it because this year, Pierre, this guy might be their second or third best player.
I know. My point, Michael, I want to explain to you is he has only 21 points because he played third line. Did not expose him the first, second line. That's the same thing happening to Kotkaniemi because he didn't have a chance to play the first, second line.
I mean, you've got to be savvier than this to think that Kotkaniemi could deal with the ice time that Lafreniere can deal with.
I'm not comparing alone. I'm comparing Lafreniere did not get 40 points last season or 30 points. He did not have a chance to play a lot of minutes for the New York Rangers.
If Kotkaniemi and Lafreniere get the same ice time, Lafreniere will score 2 to 3 times as much as that guy.
Again, I'm not comparing. I'm not comparing. I tried to explain to you, Lafreniere did not produce. He did not get enough for a minute per game. Anybody can produce, Michael, at that talent because he get only 12, 13 minutes per game.
It's a terrible comparison.
I'm not comparing both players. I'm comparing the time they play on the ice.
Right. There's an opportunity cost, Pierre, to playing a Kotkaniemi with those minutes. And the cost is that he's going to cause problems on the ice that a Lafreniere definitely would cause opportunity. So there's the difference. So the stats can be all
do
they
you
want.
believe that Lafreniere is better to Ryan Strome?
Who?
Ryan Strome.
To Lafreniere. But so the difference between Ryan Strome and Lafreniere, Ryan Strome is a very, very good 200-foot centerman. And people don't realize that. And he's shown he can produce with Artemi Panarin.
So I back again. Do you believe Dano is a better 200 player feet on the ice?
Than who?
To Kotkaniemi?
Way better.
So that's the reason why he did not play Kotkaniemi.
But Kotkaniemi's problem is he's not even capable of playing top 6 minutes.
So how many points you go to give to Kotkaniemi next season?
Where does he play?
I don't care. How many points do you get him next season?
Well, I think that he's going to cap out as a 35 to 45 point player. I don't see him being a 60-point player. I think
that's pretty good, 40 points at 21 years old.
He's never going to get beyond that. If he does, I'll be shocked and it'll be a fluke. And he's never going to be worth $6 million. And he's not
compare the money. You guys, you compare the money with him.
Well, it's part of the value. That's the issue.
It's not a value, Michael. He get the money because he got enough for a sheet.
Yeah, that's part of it. So you're like, you don't keep him and pay him $6 million.
So the problem is not him, it's the Carolina Hurricanes.
They will not trade a centerman. Carolina is not trading Trocheck. They are not trading Stahl. And they are not.
They will lose both of them, maybe, or one of them next season, Michael. They are both UFA. And they cannot afford to pay both of them next season.
What? Trocheck and Aho? Aho's signed.
No. Stahl.
Oh, Stahl's going to be fine. He's old, man.
He's 34. Yeah, but they cannot afford to pay Trocheck next season $7 million and then to pay Jordan Stahl at $4 or $5 million, Michael.
Well, Trocheck is what? $5 million?
Chris Niederreiter is also UFA.
Yeah, they probably let him walk. He's a different cat.
But now, how much you give to Trocheck?
I don't know. I mean, I think Trocheck could be a $6 million centerman.
Minimum.
Yeah.
If you pay Kotkaniemi $6.1 million, how much Trocheck is going to send to Carolina?
But you don't care at that point. You just let him walk. I mean,
you let what? Who?
If you don't sign Kotkaniemi in the second year to a $2.5 to $3 million contract, you don't keep him.
He would never pay. He never accept this, Michael.
Good. Let him go.
So Carolina, what the move they did, it was so bad.
Well, they don't. That's why he doesn't care. The owner said $6 million, whatever. It's a pure revenge move. This is not a hockey move.
Yeah, that's right about that one over there.
They will not lose Nikash. They will not lose that player.
No. I'll be honest with you, Michael. After Ao, Martin Nikash is their best player.
Absolutely.
I really believe, and maybe almost close to Ao.
This is why you don't care if you lose Trocheck. Like, if it came down to that, you say, hey, Trocheck's gone. Nikash is a natural centerman. He's not a winger.
Honestly, Michael, if you rethink about this, right? Weeks ago, I know they won't do it, but Montreal should trade Kotkaniemi to Carolina again, Vincent Trocheck.
Yeah, I don't think that Carolina really wants Kotkaniemi. I think that they've got this guy named Nikash, and they got another guy, Pierre, that's not in this roster that might be on the roster. His name is Seth Jarvis. And Seth Jarvis will play top 6 on this team at some point. Seth Jarvis will end up being the steal of his.
Well, I think before that, you have to accept right now Ryan Suzuki, Michael.
And Ryan Suzuki's good.
He's not going to get 40 points, but he's going to be one next season, but he's going to be a good additional other lineup at the bottom there. I don't feel like they have enough at the bottom there, but at the end of the day, because I don't believe Levo, Lawrence, and Martinook it's good enough with the third
For those
line right
roles,
now.
they're good.
But
I think for those roles, they're very. I mean, I like Levo. He's not a great skater, but he can score and he's heavy. He's a heavy player. So he's always been really reliable offensively, shockingly, and he checks. So I think he's perfect for bottom six role. Suzuki will at some point be a top six NHL player, like in the on his team. Like he'll be a top six, not a bottom
Yamu
six.
said, sorry, Yamu said something to you.
Oh, what did he say?
Michael, coach, can you choose few players if we have to say how many and so on?
I'm not sure if I understand that. So this is where like you don't worry if you're Carolina, you have a couple players coming up. This guy will be in the NHL. He might be in the NHL this year. Look at what he did in Chicago. Like he tore up the AHL when he was there. He is that good. And he'll be an excellent center or a winger. I think he's in the NHL, he's probably a better winger, but maybe I'm wrong. Like if you look at who was drafted ahead of him, he easily one day people are going to say, why was this guy not drafted top 5?
Well, that's the reason that maybe they will let go Vincent Krachek next season because now they have
and him.
Kokanemi and they have Jarvis over there.
I mean, I think Jarvis will long term be much better than a Kokanemi.
I think so too.
Like he has the potential to kind of be like a 60 to 80 point guy that you're like, who's that guy? And they have this other guy, Noel Gunler. Like you don't know, like he might make the team this year. He's an interesting player too. And I really think that Suzuki, even though he's not his brother, he's a little bit bigger and he did pretty well in Chicago in the AHL. Like I think they're going to be okay. Oh, I got to jump on this call here. Hold on.
Krachek is only 28. Yeah. He's always been well in the NHL, Michael Vincent Krachek.
He's been so good. Like he had 1 or 2 off years because of injury in Florida, but overall, he's such a good
he's
player.
a great. With Florida, he was performing. We never got understand his trait from Del Talon for Carolina, Michael.
Power play time is earned, guys. Kotkaniemi is a little bit erratic. You put Kotkaniemi on your power play. If you here's a guy you talk to. You talk to Steve Spott. And Steve Spott will tell you, because you go, listen, we all do the same power play. It's all about execution and consistency because everyone knows what you're going to do in the NHL. It's not a shock. And if you have a guy that isn't consistently executing on the power play, you're not going to put him there. And that consistency is the key for them on the power play. Now, I think they're a little too robotic in Vegas, but he's not wrong. Like creativity is really tough. You have to be an elite player to be creative on the power play. All right, Montreal offer sheet Neckish for $7 million with. Oh my God, if this never ends, Pierre, to be like, well, that might be worth it. The guy you do this to is Peterson, but Neckish he's really good. I mean, he might be.
I think they will sign him, Michael, during the year, I believe.
Yeah, they're gonna sign that guy.
I would not be surprised they go that direction with him.
And that might put pressure on Trocheck to take less because he might want to stay. He's never had a team like this. Good morning, Adrian Bourgeon. Is it Bourgeon? How do you pronounce that, Pierre?
Sorry again?
How do you pronounce Adrian's last name?
Adrien Bourgeon or Bourgon. Sorry.
Bourgon. Okay.
Yeah, Bourgeon is GE, but Bourgon.
We have
Adrien Bourgon. How you doing? But the monkey is in the house, Michael. He's just between the lunch, everything like that.
Great.
90 years ago, Michael, Jean Béliveau was born in Quebec.
Wow.
So I see this earlier about that one over there. How many point plus score next season will be interesting if we do those kind of stuff. Dan Asha, we forgot to tell him. Welcome aboard. Dan is a member of the Hockey Nation Live Show. Welcome aboard. Michael, do you think the Panthers should get Josh Manson? Guess what, coach? Tell us. at the end.
I think Josh Manson in Florida would be amazing. I mean, that would take a lot of pressure off him, and he's much better than people realize. He's not young. He's older than people realize too.
He's almost 29.
Yeah. He's in 90 or 91.
The problem we get is not an offensive player. So you go to be secure the defensive side on the for the Panthers, right? But it will cost you a $5 million at least next season, almost six, Michael.
Yeah, I'm just he's like you can play him on the power play, but it's
4.1. No, not really, Michael. He had no score.
Yeah, he's not. He had, like, if you go back, he did have a really good offensive year here, and I think people thought, hey, this is going to be an offensive defenseman.
He's more like a David Savard prototype player.
Maybe. But he's never repeated that, so.
No, yeah. He cannot do that. So, but you know what I mean? Like, I think you can sign him like a $5 million, or for sleep because he cannot score. He's limited with the money. If you get him, Michael, for 4 years at $4.5 million, it's a great signature.
I'm not sure what happened to him, because he looked like here, like we were all like, yeah, this is a really good right shot defenseman on the second power play, and then he just went into nothingness. He went back into a cave.
No, I never been that kind of player, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's too bad. All right, guys.
Was Kike rush into the NHL?
Sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Sure.
You know, it's easy to talk this way 3 years later. I feel Michael at 18 years old, he should play one more year in Finland over there, then come back at 19 years old, and then decide what he can do about him after that. But I think that was the biggest mistake about him at that moment. Again, he was rush also, Michael, the position of center. Montreal always looking for a number one center, and unfortunately, he was not. Like Galchenyuk and Kotkaniemi never been that kind of player they're looking for, or they want to be a 60-point right away. It's not happened. It's rare about that one over there. But it's easy to talk that way over there.
There was so
I'm writing a story, Adrian. Awesome. Inota was rated so high because his draft year was not the sensor. And not right, Michael. Inota, I'll be honest with you. If you remember, Michael, can you agree with me? He was drafted on the between 10 to 14 on the NHL draft by the expert. It was not the top 5, far away. It was almost everybody was shocked to see Kotkaniemi draft number 3 that year, Michael, if you remember that one.
Oh, I remember. We were there. It was like, okay.
And we were with everybody was shocked.
Like, Alvin was connected to Montreal because he just left there. And it was like, really? Like, what do you think? Just, oh, they like him.
That's bottom monkey maybe bring something like that. Maybe my son can be trade. He's on the trade bait right now. I think he could be trade at the deadline, and I will helping a team like Panthers or someone else is going to go far and playoff. That's the kind of player you're looking for to get at some point at the trade deadline.
In no world would you ever pick Kotkaniemi ahead of Tkachuk. Like, never. Like, that should have been what happened. And I was like,
yeah, of course, right? But the fact he played on the NCAA, everything, that was the problem at some point. That's the reason why maybe they was thinking. I could be an excuse. I don't know. But again, if you think about what you have, is another, you have no reason to why not pick Tkachuk, to be honest with you. When you know the history of the family, that's something I don't get it, because the dad scored over 500 goal in NHL. Matthew already have a great career in NHL at that moment, where he have a good year with the Calgary Flames. So that's showing another idea where you don't ask 3 times what we should do. You look each other. Don't ask anybody else. Just pick him. And
everybody regretted not taking Matthew Tkachuk higher. And everyone, when Brady came up, it was like, well, he only had 8 goals in the NCAA. It's like, are you watching what we're watching? This is a 6'3" baby bull with soft hands, and his skill level's better than Matthew. And that's what the discussion was. And then when they made that move, it was like, we had this guy 15th to 20th.
Yep. Thanks, Dan. We sell high to Colette for sure. Michael, you go to get a jersey from KK from Finland. So congratulations. You have to put his jersey in the corner. That'd be great to see that on that one over there. But again, Michael, Keith Kachuk was trade against Phil Osley, if you remember that trade over there. Um, Not at all. He was with Phil Osley against Tel Awachuk in 1989, I believe there was that trade. And Winnipeg win that trade at the end with against Buffalo because they got Phil Osley, Keith Kachuk, and returned Dale Awachuk stay only 5 years with the Buffalo Sabres.
When it was really weird because Winnipeg was having financial problems. They had Jamnov, Kachuk, and Solane.
No, but it was great when you think about this. That trade turned around to be better for Winnipeg at long term. You know what I mean?
Oh, to trade for Dale Howardchuk for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the player you got Scott Arnell,
Yeah.
you got Osley, and you got Ketchuk. Ketchuk become their star after that.
And then they traded Housley again. They got Nelson Emerson and Stefan Quintal.
Yeah.
Nelson played pretty well.
Is it after that they got Ketchuk sent with Blues?
Because Nelson had 33 goals the next year with Winnipeg. And then what did they trade? Then they traded him for Aaron Turcotte, and it was crazy.
Could you see the Kings or the Islanders get Kessel? The problem by the Monday would be the money. Now, Kessel could be traded at the deadline, but otherwise, I don't see this nowhere.
Ugh. Can you imagine Phil Kessel with Barry Trotz?
Oh my God, no. No.
Kessel will be arguing about everything.
But that's what they need. They need a right wing. But I still believe, like Montreal, they have the players. It's called Wallstrom, and I think Wallstrom need to have that kind of time. That's another point, Michael, like Kokanemi. Wallstrom did not have that kind of opportunity to produce. When he's going to get that opportunity, I think Wallstrom is a 20 goal in the NHL.
Maybe more. He showed last year.
Yeah, but I just mentioned he's a good hockey player.
He looks ready, right? Like he was always pudgy before.
He got stopped last year with injuries also.
Yeah, he's very talented, and I feel like New York Islanders do an underrated job of preparing those guys. Like you're like, whoa, this guy looks fit. He looks big. Like he's
both of them. He was 11, 12 overall pick or 12 with 13 overall. It take them about 3-4 years before they step up. And Thompson, Michael, is behind just a little bit to be ready. He's going to jump for the third pair defenseman now to the second pair, I believe. I think they have to do something with Scott Mayfield. But otherwise, they have to pay Pulak next season. That's other contract they have to use on the UFA next season. Have a lot of players, Michael, UFA pretty good next season in NHL from Malkin, Letang, Ekholm, Forsberg, Langholm, and Anaheim. Manson is another one over there. You have a lot of players on the UFA next season. Have a lot of splash can happening on different team.
Yeah, this guy scored 12 goals in 44 games, and he scored in the playoffs 3 points. That's pretty good.
Well, the reason why by the monkey it's like anybody else, right? When you have Eberle over there, you don't bring a young man, push the veteran player out down. It's like right now you took Lundell or you took Tippett and you put in front of this. It's not what the rule are in NHL. You respect the veteran, Michael. That's why it works. And then then after that, the veteran kill himself. When I said that, if you don't produce, you're going to be down. Now you can tell the veteran, look, you don't produce, you put the youngest up. That's how it works in NHL at the beginning. But again, he's on the right chair. And Beauvillier and Michael right now, last season, they play with Palmieri or Zajac and Pajot together. And we don't talk about Bellows. It's another one there. We have to be, what they don't have now, they have to put him out. Is Komarov. Komarov paid too much, $3 million for that level. That's what they need to figure out with him. Like Biron and Montreal at 3 point something. Unfortunately, it's too much for what he produced anymore. So it's a tight player where now it's very hard to figure out. But look, we'll see what happens. And we have a show tonight, Michael. We have a show at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Hopefully everybody's coming back. Don't forget, guys, to click on the likes. That'd be awesome. We try to minimize our time and not be here like forever. Because if we do this, we'll be talking about hockey all day long. We just love hockey, Michael. We stick with us all day long. And he don't have the time to do it, unfortunately. So he sacrificed his time. So thanks, Michael, to be a part of the show. Everybody, thanks everyone again to see Yamo back in the morning. That's great. In our tap, amazing. You support Bottom Monkey. Stop between lunch to be here. And the rest then show up. Everybody else, thank you so much. We appreciate everybody to be a part of the early edition of the Hockey Nation Live Show. We look forward to see you tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock for another show of the Hockey Nation Live Show with Coach Frenchy and Michael Devellano. Have an amazing, great, blessing Tuesday, everybody. See you tomorrow.